You have been taught your entire life that reality exists beyond your control, somewhere outside of you, as if everything was predetermined, unchangeable, and out of your hands. But now I will tell you a truth, that once you understand it, you will never see anything the same way again, because nothing is real until you observe it. Yes, the world around you is not as concrete, clear, or certain as you think. It is shaped by your gaze, your perceptions, your consciousness. This is not just spiritual philosophy, it is quantum physics itself. In the famous double-slit experiment, scientists discovered the following: when electrons are not being observed, they behave like waves, meaning they can be in multiple places at the same time. But when someone looks at them, when only one person observes them, that uncertainty collapses, and the electron appears in a single place. Reality is formed by your observation. This means that you are not just an observer in the universe, but an active creator. Your awareness determines what exists and what does not. And here's the interesting part. People wake up every day, think the same thoughts, give the same reactions, get stuck in the same emotions, and then wonder why nothing changes. Because they keep observing what already exists. They follow the same cycles, and thus recreate the same life. But the question is, what if you could look at it differently? What if you could call forth a new reality by changing your observation? What if you could focus on the potential of the future instead of the echoes of the past? This is where quantum awareness begins, because reality isn't happening to you, it's happening from within you. And now, what I'm about to tell you will help you place this understanding at the center of your life. Because in this video, we won't just stay at a mental level of awareness. I'll show you how to manage your own energy, how to create a new reality with your consciousness, and how to activate your quantum observation power. If this message resonates with you, if you're thinking, yes, I want to be a conscious creator now, just write this number in the comments, 777. Let this number be the intention signal you send out into the universe. Now we're diving deep. There is an invisible field that we cannot see with our eyes, but which vibrates within everything. Science calls it the quantum field. Spiritual traditions called it life energy, divine plan, or unity consciousness. Centuries ago, modern physics says that this field is an ocean of energy that lies behind matter, vibrating with infinite possibilities at every moment. And here's the most striking part. This field doesn't respond to what you say, but to what you observe. It's sensitive to frequency, not words. It hears you not when you say, I want something better, but when you feel it. So where do you think your attention is today? In fear, in anxiety, in scarcity, or in gratitude, vision, and possibilities? Your attention is like a flashlight shining in the dark. Wherever you point it, it illuminates that area. The quantum field responds to this. At every moment, every second, that field is not listening to you, it is feeling you. It is shaped by your energy. Every focus, every intense emotional connection you make with a thought, brings you one step closer to reality. Most people try to change their lives from the outside in. They believe that by working harder, striving more, and forcing external conditions, they can create a new reality. But true transformation begins from the inside out. When you change what you observe, reality begins to change. Because every moment you emotionally connect to a thought, you are observing it. And every observation triggers a collapse. The infinite possibilities in waveform transform into a particle, that is, a concrete experience. This may sound mystical, but it has a scientific basis. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, wherever you place your attention, you place your energy, and your energy commands the quantum field. This field responds not to your effort, but to your awareness. It's not about forcing, insisting, or struggling. It's about harmony, intention, and state of being. You don't need to force a new life into existence. It's enough to be someone who observes that it has already been created. Because reality is not fixed, it's fluid, flexible, responsive to you. So if everything comes into being through observation, what will you see in the next step? Which possibility will you choose? This question seems simple, but it can fundamentally change the direction of your life. Because you will no longer be someone waiting for the world to affect you. but someone who begins to act as a conscious creator connected to this field. Consciousness is not a phenomenon confined to the brain. It is not limited by space, time, or the past. It is like an invisible sculptor, shaping matter from within the energy field. The external world is not the cause of the internal world. It is its reflection, and this reflection often begins long before any action takes place. Many thinkers who combine science and spirituality, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Amit Goswami, Bob Proctor, have been telling us the same message for years. Consciousness is primary, matter is its result. Amit Goswami summarizes this truth as follows: consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. This sentence fundamentally changes the way we perceive life. It transforms you from a passive observer into a powerful creator. What does this mean? It means that your intention, the direction of your attention, begins to transform the possibilities you observe into particles. Sustained focus and emotional commitment make the invisible visible. Remember, the quantum field is neutral. What directs it is your awareness. It is your attention that gives it form. In the subatomic world, particles only become fixed when they are observed. In your life, every experience begins with the possibility you choose to see. Here, presence is required, not action. Alignment is required, not method. Internal alignment, not external stimuli, sets reality in motion. When the mind and emotions come together, that is, when a feeling combined with intention arises, consciousness loads a design into that area. This design, like an invisible instruction, begins to reorganize energy. First in your inner world, then a change begins on the physical plane. That's why this moment is not just a moment of learning. This moment is a beginning, where you can make the decision to reshape your life. You can stop watching the old stories that you have repeatedly defined yourself with, over and over again with the same eyes. Instead, you have the chance to turn to a brand new possibility that has not yet been experienced, but feels real when you feel it. Because the universe doesn't hear you, it feels you, and whatever you feel, it manifests. And eventually, all this inner observation and alignment takes shape in the outer world. Some call it setting intentions, others call it creative manifestation, and some simply call it quantum creation. This is where spiritual practices intersect with observable science. Dr. Joe Dispenza has shown that when people align with intention and emotion, measurable changes occur in their brain waves, nervous system activity, and electromagnetic fields. So this is not just an internal fantasy, it is a physical reality. As Bob Proctor says, it is not thoughts that shape reality, but the energy behind those thoughts. It is not the wish itself, but the state of consciousness that nourishes that wish. And here lies the crucial breakthrough. Consciousness is not merely individual, it is also universal. Your awareness can influence reality without regard to distance or time. Physical proximity is not required, presence is required. External validation is not required, internal resolve is required. And this is the revolution that overturns the old way of thinking. The external world is not the cause but the effect. Consciousness is the root, the soil, and the seed. The quantum field is like fertile ground. Your observation is the first light that falls upon it. It activates that possibility. Whenever you feel powerless, remember, you are not powerless. You are a conscious being with infinite creative capacity. A creator who shapes the world with your focus at every moment. This is the invitation that awaits you. Stop, breathe, turn your attention inward. Because consciousness is not passive, it is deeply creative. The reality you experience does not happen to you, it arises from you. Creation begins not with effort, but with attention. Every moment of your life is shaped by where you direct your energy. It is not what you say you want that matters, but what you consistently pay attention to, what you intensely feel, what you repeatedly observe. Because attention is not passive, it is magnetic. Every second, you are tuning your inner frequency, and this frequency sends commands to the quantum field. Your attention is more powerful than action, willpower, or even disciplined effort. Why? Because energy follows awareness. Wherever you direct your attention, Your energy gathers there, grows, and begins to take shape. That's why the same thoughts create the same feelings. The same feelings create the same decisions, and the same decisions create the same results. This is not a metaphor. This is energetic physics. Your emotional focus determines the vibrational quality of your field. Your thoughts don't just describe your life, they activate the timelines that match them. So if you constantly focus on what's missing, what's wrong, what's painful, the quantum field responds accordingly. It doesn't judge you, it reflects you. As long as you continue to observe your current life as it is, you unconsciously rebuild it. Your inner observation becomes the universe's next blueprint. You look at what is, react emotionally, then observe the same thing again. Same input, same result. But when you shift your attention to a brand new possibility, when you focus on a possibility that hasn't happened yet, but that you feel in your heart, a brand new reality begins to unfold. Instead of repeating the past, you begin to radiate the vibration of the future. This is where the real leap occurs, when you begin to observe not what is, but what could be. And when you do this as if it has already happened, quantum change begins. This is not dreaming, this is focusing. This is becoming the observer of a higher pattern that is not yet visible, until that pattern becomes permanent and transforms into matter. The old self wants to control the reality of the present life. It wants to validate its fears, repeat its memories, measure its progress. But the quantum self knows that the only reality is what you emotionally anchor within yourself. If you observe the limit, you expand the limit. If you observe the potential, you unlock the potential. This is where energetic transformation begins. Observation must become conscious. Focus must become sacred. You are not here merely to observe what is. You are here to shape the unseen. Each time you focus intently on love, abundance, peace and health, and feel it, attention becomes an activator, neither hope nor wish. What changes reality is the inner decision to begin seeing the unseen. The art of conscious creation is precisely this, choosing to see even when there is no evidence yet. Because the field does not respond to your conditions, it responds to your observation. And here is the deepest truth you need to know at this point. You don't have to eliminate all limiting thoughts. It is enough to be a little more faithful to the focus you want, rather than your familiar fears. The quantum field does not want perfection, it wants consistency. It wants harmony between the thought you choose and your inner state. So the invitation is both simple and revolutionary. Start following your focus, as if it were a sacred compass. Gently move away from the narratives that hurt you, and place your awareness where your soul calls you. Because what you observe with love can do nothing but become real in the end. You were never just an observer, you have always been a creator. Now you are simply remembering this. You did not come into this life merely to observe what happens. You came to shape it with your presence. Today many people are still waiting for something to change in their lives. A new job, love, health, opportunity. But at the quantum level, nothing moves until you observe it in a way that sets it in motion. Nothing becomes real until your consciousness sends this signal to the quantum field. This is what I choose to anchor. At that moment, your identity changes. You cease to be someone who reacts to reality and become someone who shapes it. You are not just a spectator in this life. You are also the director, the screenwriter, the projector, and the screen. Every moment you focus with emotion, you imbue a possibility in the quantum field with the weight to become reality. You are not merely observing, you are collapsing the wave-like possibility into a particle. This is why certain patterns repeat. You continue to observe them, nurture them with attention, and the universe with its infinite sensitivity reflects them back to you. This is not a punishment, it is energetic sensitivity. The quantum field does not give you what you deserve, it gives you what you continuously reinforce through your observation and emotion. That is why you are so powerful, and that is why many people continue to live in cycles they no longer desire, without even realizing it. But here a great transformation begins. When you begin to observe a story that has not yet unfolded with clarity, precision and emotional integrity, a brand new reality ripples into existence. Because you did not force it, you saw and felt it clearly enough, and that was enough. This is the essence of what we call collapse. Possibility transforms into existence. But this happens through you. When you realize how powerful your observation is, you stop delegating your transformation to the external world. You no longer say, "If life gives me peace, I will be at peace," but instead begin to say, "When I observe peace within myself, life reflects this back to me." Now imagine two different timelines before your eyes. One is your version that repeats old emotions, tries to prove limitations, and focuses on what is not there. The other is your free, joyful, loved and abundant version. Both versions exist in the quantum field, but which one will become physical reality? The answer is clear: the version you observe deeply and consistently. This is the true meaning of what we call acting as if. It is not a game or wishful thinking. It is choosing to observe until the unseen becomes real. That is when you become the destroyer, not the responder but the decider. When you look at the current circumstances and say, "This is not all there is, I choose to observe something greater," you become the author of the field. And so the gap between the inner world and the outer world begins to close. What you imagined becomes what you experience, because you observed it as truth even before there was any evidence. Now here's an invitation for you. Start observing the future you, as if they were already here. Feel their energy. How does it speak? How does it walk? What does it believe in? Hold this image in your heart, as if it were the reflection you see when you look in the mirror. Because in a universe shaped by observation, the most powerful thing you can do is to clearly see what others cannot yet see, and become it. And then a moment comes, small but profound, when you realize that the universe isn't testing you, punishing you, or withholding anything from you. The universe is simply responding. The quantum field has no emotions. It doesn't question what you want or measure its worth. It reads only one thing, your frequency, and it responds to that frequency with precision, over and over again. This is why life sometimes seems confusing. While your conscious mind desires one thing, your vibration is emitting something entirely different. You envision abundance but vibrate with scarcity. You affirm love but resonate with the fear of rejection. You dream of freedom, but you are stuck in an emotional foundation woven with doubt and control. The field does not argue, it only reflects. This is not personal, it is vibrational. This is the revolution of awareness. Manifestation is not about convincing the universe of something. It is about aligning your energy with the version of yourself that already has it. That version already exists in the field, but you can't access it if the frequency you're emitting is in conflict with it. The field can't give you peace amid chaos. It can't convey a sense of worth if you lack self-confidence. This isn't your inadequacy, it's simply an energetic mismatch. So what do? You stop trying to control the outcome. You begin to regulate your inner state. You develop the discipline of observing your thoughts, without judgment, just noticing. You feel your emotional foundation, not just occasionally, but as a habitual state. Because your default energy emits your signal, and that signal determines your reality. When you start asking yourself, "What am I sending out?" everything changes. The transition from victim to creator begins. You no longer say, "Why is this happening to me?" You say, "What am I vibrating that is bringing this to me?" Without blame, without shame, just with awareness. The field is a mirror. Many people try to change the reflection in the mirror, but forget to change their face. Many people want more money, but haven't healed their story of lack. They seek love but don't feel lovable. They try to change the outside of their life but haven't examined the inside. And the field keeps responding. So now a moment of awakening. Ask yourself this: what am I constantly observing? What emotion am I repeatedly experiencing? Not just during meditation. What frequency am I vibrating at in daily life? This is not about being perfect. It's about consistency. It's about choosing to return to the frequency of who you want to be, again and again, until that frequency becomes familiar. And when it becomes familiar, it becomes real. Because the quantum field is neutral, it doesn't judge, and it doesn't limit. That's why you regain all your power. Because if it doesn't judge you, nothing stops you. There are no energetic doors. There are only energetic agreements. And you can rewrite those agreements, right now, with every breath, every belief, Every moment of existence, you make a new agreement with the field. You say, "This is who I am," and the universe takes shape according to what you say. That's why the big leap begins here. You don't have to earn the life you envision. You have to align with it. You have to broadcast it. And you have to do it with an emotional integrity, as if you were already there. That's why this moment is so precious. This is the moment when you stop reacting and start radiating light. This is the moment when you stop begging and start sending vibrations. This is the moment when you stop explaining and start embodying. Because the quantum field is already listening to you. Now declare this to yourself in writing. I choose what I see. Let writing this sentence be a vibrational anchor you throw into the universe. Let these lines be a sign that you have chosen to live from a consciousness of creation, not reaction. There is a place within you that is unaffected by external appearances or circumstances. It simply observes without panic, judgment, or interpretation. This is the frequency of the silent observer, and this frequency is a more powerful, more effective point of creation than any effort you have made so far. The silent observer does not try to force things to happen. It does not chase after results. It does not fight with the present moment, because it knows a deeper truth. Reality does not change with noise, but with silence. It does not take shape with desire, but with conscious witnessing. In the quantum realm, everything is a possibility, infinite waves of potential. But this wave collapses not when you strive, but when you observe with a clear gaze. When you look with certainty, simplicity, and emotional harmony, your observation creates a resonance, and that resonance affects the field. People try to create change for years, but feel that nothing is progressing, because they are still observing their current lives with resistance. They are still giving more energy to their fears than they do today, and the field responds according to the lens through which you look at it. It is not what you say that matters, but the frequency at which you observe. That's why, when you are an observer but remain calm, without judgment, in a state of deep trust, you become magnetic. The things you once chased after begin to draw you toward them, not because you do more, but because you are more present in inner silence. This is not passivity. It is one of the most active disciplines of consciousness that can be developed, witnessing your life without believing that what you see is the ultimate truth, making room for what wants to be, even when there is no sign yet, staying centered while the world moves around you. Because you are no longer waiting, you are aligning. The silent observer is not unresponsive. On the contrary, they are in a radical connection, but without the helplessness that distorts the signal. They watch from above, with serenity. They know that every scene is still being written. Nothing is fixed, not until you observe it with your spirit. At this frequency, you remember this. Reality is not a force outside of you. It is the echo of your awareness. And the more silent, clear, and consistent your awareness becomes, the more visible the echo becomes. So how do you live from this place? First, you practice staying with your presence. You train your nervous system to feel safe in the unknown. You let go of the habit of constant analysis. You observe your thoughts like clouds, allowing them to pass without clinging. You breathe more deeply. You slow down, and again, you return to the side that simply sees. Because creation flows from there. Life will still present you with distractions. Old patterns will try to pull you back. Your ego will whisper, "You're not doing enough." But every time you return to the frequency of the silent observer, you regain your balance. You remind the field who you are, and life begins to rebuild itself according to your vibrations. This is the seed of true power. You don't need to manipulate the results. You don't need to perform spiritual rituals out of anxiety. All you need to do is observe from the heart, with presence and faith. Because at this frequency, you are no longer separate from what you seek. You are the field itself, the one who is remembering. And at that very moment, the wave collapses, the illusion shatters, and the miracle becomes visible. And now, it is time to change not your eyes, but your gaze. When you remember that reality is shaped not outside but within, the world no longer happens to you, it arises from within you. All this awareness reminds you of the simplest yet most sacred responsibility that falls to you. What are you watching? What are you feeling? What are you radiating? Because observation is the first spark of creation, whatever you watch with love takes shape from you. When you focus on your intention rather than the circumstances, that is when transformation begins. No image outside is more powerful than the frequency you carry within. Carl Jung once said during a crisis, "Everything outside of you is a reflection of your inner world. That is why the world does not come to you. It comes from you. That is why the life you observe is your mirror, and that mirror is waiting for you to reflect a new image at every moment." Now return to the frequency of the silent observer. Love what is not yet visible, as if it were already there. Feel what has not yet been experienced, as if it had already happened. And this time, turn your eyes not to the world, but to recreating the world with your eyes. Because reality is not watching you. As you observe, it comes into being.